the extinction event of the dinosaurs.
It's an island in Italy. It's one of the most haunted places on the world, apart from Logan.
With some secret underwear.
I'm here in spirit.
And if he just knock at the door, Portly Gentlemen's Podcast.
Magic underwear. Oh, but they kind of square. They don't believe in sex before marriage. Well, they got a kind of funny church. I don't know, but this guy like Lurch who's yelling and screaming about keeping it in the family.
Magic underwear.
Magic underwear. It is barely there. When those freaking squares
Are you gonna talk about
they do their
the
soaking. They get soaking wet every time they wear their magic underwear. Magic underwear. Magic underwear. Magic underwear. Magic underwear. We're all glad it's there. To protect us from the Mormon squares.
Oh, just beautiful as ever.
Have you guys heard about like soaking, Mormon soaking?
Yes, we've
That-
talked about it.
Oh, have you? Oh, yeah. That's hilarious.
We
Hilarious
literally
and
just
a little
spent
sad.
5 minutes talking about it.
Okay, well, sorry, I was out
That's
smoking
why there
and
was a song.
smoke.
I got a question for you, boys.
He
Has
was
anyone
out
got their own
Smoking
personal?
and soaking.
I was out soaking up some
Well,
pussies.
that's exactly what soaking is. Is like where you put your dick inside a girl and just let it sit there.
Just soak it up,
And,
baby.
it's not technically sex because you're not thrusting.
What's that other one where they get a friend into their bed to jump on the bed?
That's
That's
what mine
the same
is.
thing.
Hey, that's what I was saying.
That's a different. Yeah, that's another. It's another move.
I think it's
a-
different, but yeah.
it's called something else. Yeah,
Yeah,
It might be part of the
Not-
same thing. I don't know.
Not,
it is.
Not
It
tickling.
totally is.
it's a second. Oh, I forget it. I was literally just talking.
It's the big soak, isn't it? That's called the big soak. There's like the first soak and the big soak. So the
maybe.
first soak is like you just
Only
lay
you
there
could
and
turn it into a theme park, Biggie.
like, yeah.
Wet
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, you know, like
Come
Wet
on,
Wild, where you
get
spin around that drain or whatever.
Yeah.
Big soak.
That's on their wedding night, actually. There's like the
All right.
the
So, hold
It's
on,
weird
hold on,
though.
hold
I
on.
would have thought it was more of a
try
Catholic
and
thing with
finish
the
this
amount
up.
of kids that are at those water parks, you know.
Let's try and finish this up. and then
Wild.
talk
What's
shit
the new
after
name
that,
of
huh?
that theme
all
park?
right.
All right.
DK's
So
got a
read-
story about what are these? What are they called? Fucking
Tulpa.
Tulpas.
Okay, so my Tulpa story. So let's call him Gary.
What's his real name?
The Gary.
It can't be disclosed. Of course.
Oh.
A friend of a friend.
What's he gonna sue
Is
us?
this your Tulpa?
Crazy. He's if we're telling his story, he's either dead or in jail or in a psychiatric ward. He's not going to sue us. Give us his real name.
You never
Gary.
know, though. A Tulpa, it has its own personality and could be very.
Yeah, next
All
week
right.
Biggie just has like a fucking like a second personality. Like, oh fuck, it got him.
Yeah,
Why are you guys calling me Biggie? I'm Gary.
Yeah.
What do you mean? You like starts acting real manly for a change? Like,
Starts acting
What the-
manly. All of a sudden, Biggie starts acting manly. Something weird about Biggie is being manly.
wait, it's not a,
Hey,
it's not a
fellas,
douching
like-
around the house, like fucking fixing fences and stuff. Like, what the fuck?
He started doing home repairs
I
and renovations. It's weird. You know.
Okay, so Gary goes into a psychological study. He's looking at the newspaper and he finds like an ad for whatever, like $450. It's only 3 hours of your time on like a daily basis. And it's like this psychological study. You have to get isolated for a few hours a day. And you're told that if you like want to move, so like you have to like lay on a bed, you're supposed to just stay there on the bed. And you're told that if you want to move, and if you start getting the feeling like you want to move, then the way that you should deal with that is by basically like having an imaginary friend. And just imagine that somebody else, like that, you know, you've got a friend there that you can talk to and whatever to get you through it, you know? So he creates a version of himself that is able to move around the room. And at first they start to like interact in like a healthy way. And obviously like this is over like months and months time. As the experiment goes on, he becomes more and more withdrawn from his like real life. So as the experiment goes and he gets closer and closer with this version of himself that he's created, slowly starts like not being in contact with his family and not being in contact with his friends.
What percentage of the day is it, man?
I think it's like 3 or 4 hours
a day. Okay.
Yeah, like a day.
Yeah,
But like it's good money, and I think that's the whole thing. Is like the reason why he started doing it was because of the money.
Got fed up with those internet surveys.
Yeah, that's it. As the experiment goes on, he becomes more and more withdrawn, and his tulpa becomes less of what he imagined and more like a sentient, being, and starting to have its own opinions and its own direction in life. And slowly he starts to like recognize that it's like not healthy, that he can see like its skin is like ashen. It's like, looks like it's not getting enough sunlight. It's like skin's hanging off its bones, so you can see like the bones. His teeth are real sharp. But he keeps interacting with it because, he's still going through this thing and it's just somebody to talk to and whatever. But also at this point, it's like starting to become part of him, like he's like it's something that he identifies with, and it starts to follow him where it's not just in the experiment anymore. It's also outside of the experiment that he's coming in contact with this thing.
Yeah.
And he no longer has like the ability to just pretend that it's a real thing. So then he starts to notice that the tulpa will actually like take control of certain situations. And he doesn't know that it's a tulpa, like he doesn't know what tulpas are. It's just still in the process of going through these experiments.
Yeah, right. So none of it is, he's not trying to make a tulpa. It's just like a imaginary friend at this point, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's what they told him to do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And like, so just to like pass the time, he fantasizes about this thing.
Yeah, right.
And so as time goes on, it starts to actually like take control of like certain aspects of his life. And like at first he's really happy about it because it's like times where he might not be
doing the dishes and that.
Like, yeah, or even just like in a conversation or like in a conflict with somebody where he maybe used to stay silent and now he's able to stand up for himself, that kind of thing. But it eventually culminates over these like period of months in one of his friends like getting really frustrated with him because he hasn't been even answering his friends' calls. He hasn't been seeing his family. This friend actually got a call from his mom. And his friend was like, dude, like what the fuck is going on? His friend actually goes to the door and like bangs on the door. He still doesn't want to answer the door. And his like this other guy, this like tulpa, is like telling him like, no, don't answer it. Like he's clearly angry. Like there's no point in doing it, he like clearly doesn't like you. Like this is why we don't talk to them. And so he's not answering the door, but this guy is like his best mate and just keeps fucking banging on the door being like, what the fuck, dude? Like, let me in. Like, this is ridiculous. You haven't seen your family. You haven't seen your friend. Like at this point, he decides, well, I've got to open the door because this is causing such a huge scene. He opens the door, and his friend basically like comes like rushing like right at him and is like, what is going on with you? You know, and obviously his friend's just concerned, but like this is hindsight. At the time, he took this as he was being attacked, and his instant reaction was to attack back. And he thought about it at the time that he could actually feel the thing come into him, and he swung at his friend and hit his friend in the face. So anyway, he like obeys this instinct, this overwhelming thing, and hits his friend in the face. And he notices when he hits him that he hits him with like such force that it drops him to the ground, and he jumps on top of him and just continues to hit him and hit him and hit him and hit him and hit him. And then all he can remember is being pulled off him by police. And he gets questioned afterwards, and the police are saying, look, like you really hurt this guy. Like he's going to be in hospital for a while, but he doesn't want to press charges against you. If we had an option, we would press charges against you, but because it's in your own home and he doesn't want to press charges, then we basically have to let this go at this point. So he continues on with his life, and he gets reinforcement from this entity where it starts talking to him about, yeah, like you did the right thing. We got that cunt. Fuck yeah. Like we dominated him. We can dominate anybody. Like fuck other people. Like they don't know what we're going through. And so he goes back to the research center like the next day. And he, goes into his normal thing, and he starts to like lose contact basically with reality, and he has no idea he loses this piece of time, but all he can remember is becoming violent, like totally losing his ability to control himself. And he remembers a bunch of guys coming in with like white lab coats and a needle, and they inject him with something, and these are all just flashes of memory, and that's the last thing he can remember. When he wakes up, there's nobody around except for his Tulpa. He's strapped to a gurney, like a hospital gurney, and just cannot move anything. And his Tulpa is just walking around his bed, like pinching him and poking him and like talking to him, trying to get a reaction. But at this point, I think he's realized that it's like, this is not healthy anymore. And the more that he looks at this thing, its teeth are longer, its skin's hanging off its flesh now. It's fully fucking demented and evil. And so he tries to ignore it. But there's drool running down its mouth, and it leans right into him with this drool dripping down its mouth and says, I'm going to start gutting everyone you know. And
I know a lot of people though.
That's the last thing he can remember.
I know a lot of people.
My butthole clenched.
That's the last thing he can remember before he can remember another flurry of white coats, another hypodermic needle into the arm, and then he wakes up on the street, and his phone in his pocket starts ringing, and it's his mum. And knowing what he's just been through, he feels like for the first time in forever, he needs to talk to his mom. And he answers the phone, and she's like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're okay. What is going on? Your sister is missing.
Oh,
and
that's not good.
Or your sister has been missing, and she's just been found by the police, disemboweled.
Oh, no, that's worse.
That's terrible.
That's not ideal. I mean, no one likes their sister, but geez.
Yeah,
You don't make split
disembowel.
personalities to deal with it.
Yeah, yeah, dude. I feel like there's other ways to cope with that, you know? Fuck.
Oh, wait, I want to give a quick shit out.
Shit out.
Shit out.
Shout out to
No one
Rowan
wants to
hanging
see you
out with
doing
Bruce
shit.
Willis.
Who? Rowan is?
Rowan's hanging out with Bruce Willis. I can see it
Where?
Okay.
on his camera.
I
Do you
see a
not
bunch
see
of
Bruce Willis?
speakers, bro.
Is that not air duct?
No. It
Oh, I
is air
didn't
duct,
see.
but
Nice.
No, that's the
yeah, I
rack.
feel you, Calan. I get that. Yeah, dude.
That's
Thanks, mate.
a rack of speakers.
Son of a
there.
bitch. Yeah, he's like.
Yeah.
That
Good old
guy's
air
dying
conduct, so.
very hard. Yeah, he's dying hard.
are you still there, Treno?
Yeah, my fucking phone just went flat, so my camera's off.
Oh,
That's
jingers.
Oh,
Would you say he's here in spirit?
Oh.
I am indeed here in spirit.
Dang. That was good, Calan. Prime dad joke, mate. That was fucking brilliant.
Fine.
It's only about the fourth time someone said that someone's here in spirit tonight, but that one really
it?
hit.
Oh, fucking, I must have missed the other three.
Yeah, I've been keen for it.
Mm. That
you
one
know,
hit the mark, though.
that story you just said just makes me think of.
That's creepy ads. Yeah, where's it from?
Dude.
Where are they? Where is Gary? Where does Gary live?
Where are these people?
Did you just say the movie plot to Ghostbusters 1?
The only thing they do is just waiting for the next score. Like, yeah.
Can you either speak up a little bit or like speak more into your microphone? But I actually didn't hear what you were saying there.
And your silhouette's creepy, man.
I'm taking a piss.
That's because he's pissing.
Yeah, it's right. I was. Yeah.
Kissing that son of a bitch. Oh, fuck.
I thought he'd gone off to a dark.
That's
corner.
definitely big.
So,
Set
No,
the
hold
mood.
on. Marty was
That's
saying
a
something. Just
dark
let him say what he was going to say.
That story just made me think of like a junkie. The way a junkie like lives their life. Someone who
Good point. Yeah.
that's what I was thinking. Why did he need all that money to start with?
Controlled by a needle and lives life from
Is there
a needle.
Is there a conclusion to that, CK?
That
story?
made me think.
Yeah, what happened at the end of that story?
Yeah,
Wait,
did almost get arrested or anything?
He's like, and he lives next door.
Yeah, like, what do you want me to
shit.
say? Like, his sister got disemboweled.
Yeah, did
What
he
What
get,
happened to his mum?
Was it
go to
him,
jail?
though?
Yeah, but did he get arrested? What happened to his mum?
Yeah, who wrote that
wasn't him, though.
story too?
Or was she caught in like a freak fishing accident?
Wait, there's nothing wrong with freaks fishing, all right?
Yeah. Amen. Amen to that. I think we can all get behind that. If there's anything we can get behind tonight, it's that there's no problem with freaks fishing. Absolutely.
She should be
The
a
bearded
motto.
lady can catch all the trout she wants. And those midgets are free to have as many barramundi as they can get on the hook.
So, yeah, I like that analogy, Marty. Like, I actually had a experience when I was really young that I definitely would have treated differently. Just like with hindsight, like being a bit older and like a bit more, like a bit wiser or whatever, where, like I used to do like a decent amount of drugs when I was younger. And one of my girlfriends, she was at a party with us, and I don't know, for whatever reason, like she couldn't like kind of hang, I suppose, to a certain degree with the quantity of drugs that we were doing.
Yeah.
And she had a bit of a fucking freak out, and this wasn't the first time. It had happened before, but not in this way. It never come out in this way, but she actually started to hurt herself.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was like probably 17, 16 at the time. And it was really interesting after that. So she ended up going away for a little while. And
So where did she go away for a little while?
She went away just with her parents. They
Okay.
basically just took her away because she like had like really bad
To
like,
just take her away from everything.
yes,
that's
yeah,
been
that's right.
involved
Yeah.
in.
She had really bad like self-inflicted like lacerations on her arm and stuff, or like on her arms. And it's a beautiful, beautiful girl. Mix actually met her.
Did it help CK?
Her being taken away. Yeah, it actually did. She came back. And this is where I wanted to talk about. Is like she came back with this really interesting perspective, where she started talking about like angels and demons. And at the time, I was so dismissive, and I actually like really regret that now in hindsight.
Not just taking the time to listen.
Yeah, well, like no, but I did take the time to listen. I just disagreed for like some stupid, when you get stuck up on words.
Yeah,
but like she's saying a word and it means something different to her than what the meaning for me is, but I'm not actually listening enough to hear what she's really saying.
What the fuck? No, that's bullshit.
Still the case.
What are you talking about?
Can you say that again, CK?
Do you disagree with his words that he used in that? Okay.
I didn't hear it.
Oh, it's like
I was
listening.
listening.
Can we go back for the start or what point, man?
That last bit.
What's your last bit?
The last bit. Like 3 words in.
So I was just saying that, like, so she, when she came back from like being away with her folks, she came back and like I tried to talk to her like about like what happened and everything. But the way that she was talking about it and the language that she was using, she was talking about it in terms of like angels and demons, and she was basically saying she was inhabited by a demon. Like that was straight up, not even basically, like she was straight up saying that.
Was she in any way religious?
No,
she just straight up.
I imagine her parents probably were. But because most of our parents probably were.
And even if she wasn't, man, pretty prime way to like describe a scenario or like an episode that you've been through. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what what Marty said was saying. Really made me think of it.
Light and dark. There's always that light and dark can be broken up in religion and heaven, hell, and
and that's why like I have a lot more.
Yeah,
and that's why like I have a lot more time for like listening to people when they're talking about like their beliefs in terms of like, I mean, you could call it magical thinking, you call it whatever the fuck you want, but really realistically, like they're just finding a way to describe things that is giving it the right amount of impact. Like, because realistically, like what else do you fucking call that? Like where you start to like hurt yourself like that? Like, no, you like it's pretty hard to describe that in a way like with words that isn't magical. You know what I mean? It's like a much easier way to describe that is to be like, yeah, no, I had a demon in me and I need to remove myself from this situation or else that demon's going to come back.
Well, it sounds like a prime example of like, removing that scenario from yourself. You know what I mean? Where it's like, it's not like you're not taking that on board as you're not an onus of you. You know what I mean? It was someone else that did that to you. It was something else that did that to you.
Well, so I agree to an extent, but I think that like she acknowledged that she was inviting the demon. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it was like something that just took over and that was it. It was like no, like I shouldn't have been in that situation. That's what made the demon get in me or whatever, it was like no, like I can't be around this anymore. Like this is why the demon got in me and I'm not going to do that anymore. Now, I mean, who knows what she thinks now, and like who knows if she even fucking remembers this conversation,
right? Like
but yeah, I
tend to speak in metaphorically. So
definitely,
I mean, it's weird though because I feel like a lot of the time, like even just the word metaphor is like it's like a way of being it's like a way of being dismissive.
Oh boys, okay. We're gonna wrap this up soon.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear if anyone's got their own ghost stories. Is there any personal ghost stories among you portly gentlemen?
Rowan, you got a ghost story, cunt? Like you haven't said anything yet.
I
overwhelmed by all your ghost stories. That's all.
Let us know a ghost story.
So there was the time around when I moved into my house.
Yeah.
And I'd be walking around my house late at night, or laying in bed, I should say, and there'd be this knock at the door, and completely desolate estate, brand new estate, and I don't know what it was.
Mm.
And so I'd go and look at the door, and no one was there.
Are you going to go look at the door now?
Yeah, I hope so.
So I would go look at the door, and there's no one there.
Mm.
So I'd go back to bed or back into the room and keep watching movies. Then 5 minutes later, same thing. Just knock on the door. Just a noise out of nowhere. And this just kept happening.
It's kangaroos fucking with you, mate.
No, it was even worse. It was a fucking ice maker.
Dang, dude.
So that would be my ghost story for tonight.
Fucking hell, eh?
That's
That's what you get for having expensive rich man fridges, Rowan.
He's right as well. Like the sound of that ice maker is just like grr, 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 and then just stops. And that's it. You're like, what the fuck was that?
Demon in the kitchen.
Satan's just making martinis in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Hey, any of you guys want a cocktail out there?
Shaking our stud, guys. What are we talking here? Oh, fuck.
What are you doing here, Satan? Hey, it's a party. Come on, martinis.
You reckon your house is built on a burial ground of some type?
Oh yeah,
Native American.
Native American.
It used to be a big farm.
Oh, what?
It used to be a
farm.
beef farm.
A beef farm, oh yeah.
Beef?
Yeah, so that, they're cattle all underneath it.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, they get the sweet ghost riders in the sky. They just get the fucking mad cows running over the fields through the sky.
What about you boys?
Ghost
Biggie,
riders.
you went to Ravenswood. Did you get any up there?
Oh, dude. So I was thinking about this the other day, actually. And it was like, didn't actually see any real ghosts, bro. But I remember there was this dog, right? And us being like, ghosts, yeah, look.
Being like fucking robots.
Dogs on one side of the fence.
Oh,
Yeah, fucking idiots.
Wait, say it again, Biggie.
Yeah,
You turned into a
no,
robot.
Being in like, what were we, like grade 5 or 6? So there was like a dog on one side of this fence and we're on the other. We turned around and looked at something and turned back and the dogs are all, someone's like, must be a ghost dog. He just breezed straight through that fucking wire fence. Like, none of us checked for a hole in the fence. Like, just like, fucking, it was fucking hilarious. I mean, that whole trip too, like, one night they were like, oh, look, there's fucking aliens up in the sky there. I was like, it's a fucking plane. What the fuck are you cunts on about? Like, no, people see aliens and rainbows all
Mate,
the time.
planes weren't
They see
invented back
fucking
then. That's
planes
why.
'cause-
yeah, it is.
like, yeah, that's when we were in grade 6. No planes. No planes anywhere.
I have a story.
But yeah, dude.
Go on, Marty.
Yeah, what was your ancient story you were going to tell Marty?
An old tale from the Czech Republic.
Oh, the Czech
Oh.
Republic story.
Oh,
How did we
where's
forget?
where's Marty gone? Where are you, Marty? We've lost your picture, mate.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm looking at a page. I have to read this.
That's all right. You can read it, man.
You can do it, Marty.
A bit more
ABC.
clearing of the throat, thanks, sir. Let's
A story about a
Uh,
big beetroot. Once upon a
I
time,
got
Oh,
there was
shit.
a little house where an old man and a woman lived with their little granddaughter. Everyone called the old man granddad, and everyone called the old woman grandma. One day, Granddad
Here we go.
decided to plant some beetroot.
Nice.
He went to the field and he planted a beetroot seed. The beetroot soon started to grow. Grew and grew and grew until it was big, very big. When Granddad saw it, he started wondering, what would he do with it? He thought of pulling it out of the ground, but when he tried, he found he couldn't do it. It was too big.
Oh no.
Damn.
Oh,
So
shit.
he called Grandma, and she came to help. She grabbed hold of Granddad, and Granddad grabbed hold of the beetroot. They pulled and pulled and pulled, but they still couldn't pull the beetroot out of
She
the
was.
ground.
She was pulling real hard, CK.
She was pulling and pulling and pulling.
So Grandma called to her granddaughter to come and help them.
Oh no!
Grand-
Don't
Stop.
call the
It's
granddaughter
about
to
to-
come and pull the granddad.
It's about to get gutted.
It's about to get illegal.
The granddaughter grabbed hold of Grandma.
Oh, no.
Grandma grabbed hold of Granddad, and Granddad grabbed hold of the beetroot. They pulled and pulled and pulled. Still couldn't pull the beetroot out of the ground.
Dang.
So the granddaughter called to her dog to come and help. The dog grabbed hold of the granddaughter. The granddaughter grabbed hold of the grandma. Grandma grabbed hold of the granddad. And Granddad grabbed hold of the beetroot. They all pulled and pulled and pulled, but they still couldn't pull the beetroot out of the ground. So the dog called out to the cat to come and help.
Oh, what the
Cat
fuck?
grabbed hold of the dog. The dog
They
grabbed
settled
hold
their
of the
differences?
granddaughter. The granddaughter grabbed hold of the grandma. Grandma grabbed hold of Granddad. And Granddad grabbed hold of the beetroot. They all pulled and pulled, but they still couldn't pull the beetroot out of the ground.
Jesus Christ.
What
How big is
now?
this fucking
It's a
beetroot?
fucking
There was
big beat,
no
man.
one else to help them.
Has the family
Just
heard of a
them.
crane?
A small mouse passing by saw them all trying to pull the beetroot out of the ground and decided to help. The mouse grabbed hold of the cat. The cat grabbed hold of the dog. The dog grabbed hold of the granddaughter. The granddaughter grabbed hold of the grandma. Grandma grabbed hold of the granddad.
I knew regretting
Granddad
making it so long.
grabbed hold of the beetroot. So they all pulled and pulled and pulled. Heave ho, the beetroot came out.
Nice.
When they all worked together, they were all able to pull such a big beetroot out of the ground. That's the end about the story of the big beetroot.
Oh, yeah.
Well done. And the start of Golden Circle.
At the end of the day, there probably are entities out there of some kind. How they end up where they end up is like anyone's guess, you know. But like, I think, you know, I am like, I do believe certain energies can be left behind in places. And like, when you think about like, what's his name? Captain, what's his name?
Charles Francis Bacon.
Logan. Captain Logan.
Charles Francis Bacon.
Charles Francis Bacon. No, Captain Logan. Like he would have died in a pretty dreadful way, and he had like a big negative energy in that area, and a big influence as well. So I imagine like his ghost could quite well, truly, like inhabit that area. But also that could just be a load of nonsense, and ghosts aren't really a thing as well. Like there's just not enough 100% physical evidence for me to be like, oh, they're definitely a thing, and this is what they are.
Could it be that we all have a tulpa and we're not quite certain that
Or
we
could it-
have a tulpa.
Could it be that we're all participating in creating tulpas?
Yeah, well, like that.
Yeah.
That's
Could it be
one thing
acid?
that I can. But like the collective, I think the collective creation of a tulpa is quite a possible thing in my mind, in terms of like I've seen what's it called, a quantum physics theory videos, but I think they've actually been
Robot
proven
girl.
wrong. But like the
Wow,
idea that
Just hold on, Biggie. Your
my
audio is
errors,
fucking
man.
out again. Man.
things can be
That's like
Good.
an LSD slowdown right there,
Yeah.
where LSD is like really running through your system, and then sound just goes.
Yeah, I've been there. All right, go, Biggie, go.
Yeah, well, yeah, like I like that's an interest, because like quantum physics have like a idea that like an object can be, create. Oh, I don't know how truthful this is or how accurate it is, but like the idea that like a mass consciousness could
It's
create
as
something
truthful as us all wearing hats.
like, so yeah, I don't know. I remember hearing that as a quantum physics theory, but then also hearing that it wasn't quite right. Like that's not exactly what sounds like a plausible thing. But once again, like,
Are you
is there
talking about,
hard
like, the,
science to back it up?
Are you talking about like the viewer changing, like the outcome, something like that, in that the slit experiment?
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
because
is
that's not. That's not what
exactly
it
what
was.
it means.
No,
Yeah,
so like the
Yeah.
reason that experiment, like, because like new agey people always like refer to it in that way, where it's like,
which
oh,
that's
it's
I
because
used
somebody's
to, but then I
watching
heard
it.
someone correct it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so the correcting, or at least from what I've heard, the correcting is actually, it's like, no, it's just the experiment. Like, because they're setting up the experiment where they've got a slit through the box, then it gets represented in one way. And then through the exact same experiment with the exact same particle where they don't set it up in a box, it gets represented in a wave pattern. So it's like actually the ability of like the parameters of the experiment that change the outcome for the exact same thing to be represented in two different ways. So it's not the people that are affecting it, other than the way that they are collecting the data. Does that make
Recording
sense?
it,
Like
yeah.
closing it down to very personal, to opening up to very social.
Maybe. All right, next. So, Mr. Captain Spectacular over there.
okay.
Let's hear it.
Well, I don't know, man. I've had
What do you
like
think? Ghosts? Yay or nay?
I think yeah. I've had
Yeah?
some crazy experiences. I've heard crazy stories. I think everyone experiences everything. Different sets of mind, I guess. I don't know. But
Very
yeah,
very concise.
I've had some crazy experiences that are like, I don't know.
Tell us about them.
Oh, I'm not gonna go on the rants of what he. One of the best ones though, right, is the swing in Ravenswood,
Hmm.
where I was just full being like pushed on the swing. That was a real creepy experience for me.
You were getting pushed on the swing.
Yeah,
And
I
there was
got pushed
nobody
on
there.
the swing. Nobody there except Dwayne Berthoud, real close mate. He fucking was there and witnessed it, and it was just like he bailed. He just fucking took off.
He bailed when Calan gets raped. Damn, man. That's
Yeah.
rough.
Fucking, that's Dwayne for you.
And then there was some crazy times back when like dinosaurs were running around.
Oh, the timeless one.
But yeah, no, I
Is that
believe in
Dracula?
ghosts. I
Is that
think there's something there, like whether or not it's
Dracula behind you.
Hold on. Let Caelan finish, man.
Sorry.
Well, I think what's crazy is like the amount of stories that people tell, and they're all human like emotions and stuff that these ghosts represent. So for it to be another entity, there's got to be some link that gives them to humanity in a sense. You know what I mean?
No,
You think
No,
it's
like
no, say it again.
us as humans,
like
who,
so the way
who bring it
they
all to life.
react to humans and stuff when they target, like I think there's a human element to it all.
Like a connection to the human consciousness.
So yeah, I'm just saying there's got to be something bigger. If it was to be all true in that, well then that something would have to have its own conscience, essentially.
Yeah, because I suppose like one aspect of that might be something like if there wasn't people around to experience the ghosts, then like it's like a
Would-
tree falling in the woods or whatever, you know?
Yeah, definitely, dude. 100%. Like, how you gonna?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If a bear farts in the wood, do you hear it?
Depends on how far you are away from that bear. You know.
And then,
Exactly.
but there's like circumstances that just create that environment, and whatnot. But I always enjoy a real good ghost. My wife has some of the best ghost stories too.
There's some
Yeah,
crazy, but the ghost
Boggo
stories,
jail.
man. Yeah,
I
that,
That
imagine-
Boggo jail and had a camera spin off its tripod.
yeah, that's some crazy shit, dude.
Yeah.
That sounds so fucking crazy.
And like, yeah, unless you experience something like that for yourself,
sounds like an
you know, it's
Wait,
hard to.
Biggie, your
that
audio is
sounds
fucked,
like
man.
an
Your audio is fucked,
insurance scam. You know,
Buy better tripod. Is that what you're saying?
Trying to get that sweet, sweet tripod money, you know?
Better microphone.
So
Robotic.
I believe.
all right.
Who wants to go next?
Yeah, I don't know. I think you know,
Also pieces.
spirits could be real, but they could also not be real. I've never seen one personally, but it's the same thing as like an alien, right? It's like, oh, they could totally be on Earth, but they could not be. I've had a strange experience with seeing like a crazy orb above CK's house one night. So that like leans me to believe that aliens are, you know, real-ish. And so why wouldn't you know, I shouldn't poo-poo the notion of ghosts being real at the same time, you know. So yeah.
Marty.
I don't think so. I think it's a mindset. I think stories get told. Places are just creepy. I don't think ghosts are real at all. I think that it's just, you know, things get told to each other and we tell each other stories, and then, you know, buildings are just simply that. Buildings are just buildings. No matter what happens inside of it, people could be fucking killed, be murdered. There could be a mental asylum. There could be an old jail. Could be something from the 1800s into now. It could be. I don't think we leave a remnant of anything there, but just the building and the stories. And I think the building and the stories create that feeling that there is something there, so that when people do go there, there's these little stories playing in your mind of this happened here, or this could have happened here, or, you know, the possibilities of something which we don't know the real answers to, unless you, I don't know, maybe do a little research and go, okay, this building was that. Yeah, people died here. But I don't think we leave an impression in a way that if you were to walk in somewhere and go, oh, I feel something, I think, yeah, sure, you're feeling something, but I think your brain is creating that something.
Mm.
I don't think there is anything really there except cold, fucking hard stone, or rotting wood, or just the building. Just, you know, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just the stories that get embedded into us. Maybe it's like I was talking about earlier. Maybe it's like media, what we watch, what we see, and we then see a thing, and then we then attach, oh, this is creepy, and then that creepiness becomes a part of your brain and part of your thought, and you just think that. And then if you think that, then yeah, fucking oath, you're gonna see something. You're gonna feel something. You're just tripping yourself out. You're just creeping yourself out. Our brains are very powerful things. Like, you know, we create universes. We can create whatever. We just, if you start to believe it, then you're gonna start to feel it, and then it's gonna become, oh, I saw this, oh, I saw that, and you just, you know. And anyway, whatever. That's my thoughts.
All right, Rowan, what do you reckon, buddy?
You know, I'd go very much the same line as what Martin said. But yeah, there's that whole romanticization around the whole thing of people want something to believe in, basically. Some people believe in some things, and ghosts is a very valid thing for people to believe in. You have to have something to explain what went bang in the night. And, you know, a fridge is just not a good enough explanation some days.
Oh, way to bring it back.
He's thinking back. Yeah, I see that.
Not everyone's got an ice tray to blame it on.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, you need your ice trays every now and then.
God damn.
Yeah, so I think for me, like I have a pretty similar perspective to Marty in that, like, you could say that it's like not real. So like I basically agree with everything you said, Marty. But
yeah.
But where I change, where I differ, I think, or like maybe where I take it further is just that
there's an uncertainty that
no, not even that, right? It's basically that, like, how we define reality. Okay. And in our mind, and this is something that I've talked about like a bunch of times on this podcast, like in our Red Pill Blue Pill podcast about how language,
how do you I mean, this
well this is the thing, right? This is the thing, like, but hold on, Marty, hold on. Okay, sorry. We create in the way that I look at it anyway, and like obviously I'm not like a fucking god or whatever, like this is just my opinion, but like at the same time I think that we use language to create our reality. So like an internal language that we have to have consistency. So like there's nobody that doesn't believe what they believe. Do you know what I mean? It's like, when you're thinking about something and you're like, oh, this happened because this happened, it's like you don't look at that and go, oh, actually, like, no, that's actually bullshit or whatever. It's like, no, that's actually what you believe. And so whether that's real or not, at that point just becomes semantics to me. It's like, okay, well, you could call it real. Somebody else might call it not real, but it affected that person in a way that genuinely was real. So like the example that I was talking about before, with this girl talking about being inhabited by a demon, it's like, well, was she actually inhabited by a demon? Well, it's like, actually, it doesn't matter. Like the language that she's using might be different from what you're comfortable with. But it doesn't make it any less real. And so in that same way, it's like, you could say, somebody that believes in ghosts, or somebody believes that, a certain time or a certain place is more likely to have ghosts or whatever. It's like, yeah, well, but because they're believing it, it actually makes it real in their mind.
Because you believe it, you're making it as real as you want it to be.
That's right. And what is that reality to that person, except for actually genuinely being real? Now, whether that's right or not, whether that's right or not, whether that's okay or not, is a different topic, right?
Because
I'm not casting a judgment.
View somebody viewing what they're viewing and going, "This totally happened. This is happening right now." And you could be right beside them, and you're like, "No, it's not happening," but they could be like, "Yes, it is."
Yeah, and that's just a difference of. But hold on. But more specifically, what I'm talking about is like that difference in language. So specifically,
strong suit.
No, it's okay. And but I genuinely think this is a really weird thing with humanity, right? Is that basically like the words that we have and our ability to understand words is what creates our reality, and for us to experience and through creating our reality, it creates it like the gates in which we can perceive the world. So like we literally perceive the world through the words that we are able to acknowledge and understand. Like that's how the world is created. You know what I mean? And so you could call it ghosts, you could call it whatever, and you could say that that's not real. I'm like, you know what? Maybe for you that's not. But actually, when you drill down and you actually talk to somebody who believes that they saw a ghost in the cemetery or whatever, it's like maybe they actually did. Maybe that was what they actually experienced because of the language that they have to express the feelings that they had at that time.
I think language, I think visual language as well. I don't just think words. Like you keep saying language. I know words are powerful in the way of image, but I also think, having a visual language in being able to, perceive things.
Like non-verbal signals.
Yeah.
Non-verbal signals where you're like able to pick up on like someone's being anxious or nervous by the way they're moving and not like just what they're saying. So then, all
right, sweet. Anyway, so Treno.
I don't think ghosts are real, man.
Cut you
I don't
off.
believe in.
I'm literally just trying to keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
Everyone gets offended when I'm trying to move the conversation along.
No, you're right. You're right on the money.
Person.
Carry on.
Terrible person.
No, you're all right. You're all right.
No, come on, Marty.
You're all right. You're all right.
I would love to continue this conversation once we finish this podcast.
Hey.
So let's finish this podcast. Treno, what do you think?
Oh, that's right. We're on a podcast.
Am I good? I don't think ghosts are real. I think out of anything, it's a product of human fear, and we're just trying to rationalize the fears that we have, either that be in the night or in an abandoned house or in the woods. Like our brain's trying to rationalize that fear into something that we can go, oh, that's what that was, instead of continually being uncertain. So no, I don't believe ghosts are real.
Super concise. Well done, sir. You're like the most objective.
Wait, honestly, I just want to say you guys need to watch that documentary Ghostbusters and come back to me. You negative Nancy's.
Really helpful information in there.
So before we finish
fuck you and your ghost believing bullshit.
New York got attacked, Marty. And it was good emotions that could grow the fucking slide.
Hey, I don't believe in ghosts, but I
believe
in you. I believe in you. And you can do it. Whatever it is. Doesn't matter.
In your face, mother.
Fuck ghosts.
I believe Calan can touch the sky.
They've got video proof of it though, man. Got a whole documentary of it, dude.
My wings and I fly away. I believe. Can we please fade out to "I believe I can fly"?
Oh hell yeah! Biggie.
I think Biggie's gonna play us out.
Play us out.
There's no way I can fucking. There's no way I can fucking learn that in like the next 10 seconds.
Rowan's already out.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
You don't have to play that, bro. Just play us out. Give us a good play out song.
Some
Well, feedback from the ghost. Who is on the coast, scaring all the folks the most? He knows what's good enough for him. He's the ghost of Mr. Logan. He'd slash you with his cane all night. He'd really give you a fright. You better watch yourself, 'cause there might be someone else living in your brain uninvited there, killing all your family. They don't care. Oh, the ghosts and the other spirited folks, you know. It's a scary old ride trying to pick beetroots with the whole tribe, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The ghosts.
The extinction event of the dinosaurs.
It's an island in Italy. It's one of the most haunted places on the world, apart from Logan.
With some secret underwear.
I'm here in spirit.
And there'd be this knock at the door.
Gentlemen's podcast.